Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey, kids, it's already Wednesday. It's hump day. It's the 4th of February. And Valentine's Day is coming up in 10 days. And no, I don't have someone to send a Valentine to. I really don't care to be quite honest, this time right now. It's just, it's kind of weird. I got to admit that I'm looking pretty damn good. If you watch the stream, it's looking pretty nice. You'll notice I'm losing a little weight here, I decided, and this is on my doctor's recommendation, those GLP-1 medications. I decided, I'm going to do a diet and exercise and all that. And you say, I'm not meaning to use my divorce and, the stuff that's been going through in my life as an excuse for gaining weight. But hell yes, I'm going to use it as an excuse to putting on a few pounds. It's been a mother scratcher. It's been terrible. And honestly, I don't drink. So if I can't have carbs after 7 as some sort of a comfort, what the hell, honestly, I'm still working out. So anyway, I started taking this GLP-1 on like Monday. And you just take it in the morning, you got to wait. It's really hard for me because you wake up, you take this GLP-1, you drink some water, and then I've got to wait 30 minutes before I can have coffee. What the hell, really? Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking. I think I'm looking pretty good. Getting better, fitting in all the clothes and all that. And, I got this Match.com profile. That's really, honestly, ridiculous. It is just utterly ridiculous. Every woman around my age somehow wants a savior in their life after a bad marriage and want to get married again. Why do you want to get married again so damn soon? Honestly, what the heck is wrong with you people? There you go. There's a couple things on my mind. Anyway, welcome to the show. Please come inside. I mentioned this yesterday. Andrew Colvett, he's Charlie Kirk's executive producer, and now he's really essentially the de facto show host of the Charlie Kirk Show. He's great. He's really, really insightful and really, really good. And this kind of encapsulates what I've been trying to say about the midterms.
Yeah, I would tell people, focus on the signal, not the noise, right? There's 3 things I want to point to. Population decline in blue states.
Yes.
People are fleeing them. This is an open indictment of Democrat policies.
Yes.
High crime, high taxes, high cost of living. It's unbelievably difficult to live in those states. Secondly, you've got voter registration data.
Yeah.
So we are winning voter reg in all the key swing states.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for years now. And so states like Pennsylvania are much, much better for us than they used to be. Thirdly, yes, the Electoral College. We are going to be much harder for Democrats to win a national election, even in 2030. It should have been that way in 2020. It's a botched census, if you want to know the truth of it.
It is.
But that's apportionment, that's congressional votes, and obviously Electoral College votes. So things are trending in our way. I don't give too much heed to that special election in Texas that you mentioned.
Neither do I.
I had Dan Patrick with me today. He said there was about 75,000 Republicans that just didn't get the memo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to do better in the midterms when more people are focused on what's going on politically.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good stuff happening. And the American people want a couple of things. They want friggin' voter ID, okay? And they want illegals booted the hell out of the damn country. Now, we focus a lot of the times on Republicans contacting their senator, their congressman, and whatnot. But how about you Democrats? Honestly, we just heard yesterday from Harry Enton that most of you Democrats want illegals kicked the hell out of the country, and most of you Democrats want voter ID. So how about you get off your asses and you contact your senator and your congressman and you tell them to pull their heads out of their rear ends on this? How about this, Democrats? Dear God in heaven, when are you going to take control of your party? Your party is off of its nut. If you are a person with common sense, if you are reasonable in any way, shape, or form, I'm asking people who are traditional Democrats. My dad was a Roosevelt Democrat. He died 30 years ago when I was in my 20s. But he would be aghast at what your party has done. Are you down with this? Are you out of your freaking minds? Honestly, there've got to be more people in the Democrat Party who don't think that boys can become girls and play in girl sports. There've got to be more people in the Democrat Party who think you ought to show your ID when you vote, and there've got to be more people who think that how about you come to America illegally. So get off your butts, call your congressman for a change, Democrats, and honestly, get moving here, because right now your party sucks. Your party is evil, your party is rotten, your party cheats, your party is corrupt. Honestly, if you're a good and decent person who goes to work every single day, busts your butt and pays your taxes, and just happens to have a D in front of your name when you vote, you really ought to get on your party to get its crap together. How about that for a change? Thank you. Because your party is nuts. And consequently, you look like you're nuts. All of this is just nonsense. All this caterwauling, all this BS, all of this crybaby nonsense, all of this, ICE is our Nazis. Police, 4, 5, 6 years ago, the police, you had to defund the police because the police were Nazis. Is this your party? Do you really feel this way? Do you know a police officer? Do you have a police officer working in your damn family? Do you have a federal officer who works for ICE or DHS in your family? Aren't you kind of tired of them being labeled as Nazi and Gestapo? Real, aren't you, for crying out loud? Do you like this? Do you like the look of your party? Do you like Jerry Nadler saying that, if I was an ICE agent raiding my house, they had a mask on, I'd shoot them? Really? Really, Democrats? Honestly, if we're going to come together as a nation, maybe you ought to replace the idiocy and the insanity at the top of your party so we can actually have a reasonable discussion. Because right now, your party is bat guado nuts. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And then up in Minnesota, one of the most corrupt states in America, behind California. Do you like your tax money, your federal tax dollars, going to one Los Angeles county, 19% of home health care claims from one county, most of them run by the Russian mafia? Do you like 89% of Somalians in Minnesota on some sort of government largesse and stealing massively from Medicaid, massively creating autism cases that don't exist, stealing billions of dollars being stuffed in suitcases and sent abroad? Do you like your money that way, Democrats? Because I hate to tell you this, you pay the same taxes we do. Why don't you do something about your party? Why don't you get control of your bloody, stinking, nutbag party? Because honestly, I'm done. We got to deal with rhinos over here. I would say rhinos pale by comparison to the nutbags at the top of your party. Really. You cannot be this insane. But up in Minnesota, Tim Walz, of course, by the way, they're drawing down some of the ICE officers in Minnesota, the Nazis, right? Do you know why? Because Donald Trump went in and said, how about you cooperate with federal authorities and allow us to pick up illegal alien criminals from the jails? And they started doing that. And what happened? Donald Trump pulls 700 ICE officers out of Minnesota. There you go. Why not? Here's Tim Walz, though. He's doubling down. You know why Tim Walz is doubling down? Because he's corrupt, and he knows he's going to go to jail.
It's been a week since I met with Tom Homan. Expectations have not changed. This force must leave Minnesota. The state of Minnesota and the professionals, nonpartisan judiciary, must do the investigations into the shootings and other abuses of Minnesota's human rights. And this all-out assault.
What about the human rights of the ICE officers who've been attacked ad nauseum by your by paid protesters in your state?
On Minnesota, across all of state government and all across life, must stop.
No, Tim A. Oh, Tim A., I want to see you go to jail. Oh, Tim A., I want to see you and Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar. I want to see Ilhan Omar deported penniless back to Somalia.
None of this is normal. None of this is okay.
Yeah, you're exactly right. None of what you have done in this state, what your Democrat Party has done in the last 30 years in your state, is normal.
None of this makes Minnesota any safer. None of this adheres to the values of this country.
The values of this country are moving here to this country and stealing from us while not working. Is that your values?
It does is cause terror and trauma.
Yeah, okay, terror and trauma, sure. Well, Donald Trump says that's all fine and dandy, but we're not giving up on the fraud investigations there. Timmy!
The other thing we can't lose sight of is you probably have in Minnesota, and it's worse in some places like California.
Yeah.
$19 billion in fraud.
Minimum.
And we're going to find out. We're very deep into that investigation.
We're going to give you a colonoscopy, Timmy.
But we're not going to forget that. A lot of people think that a lot of this nonsense that's going on is to try and, hide what's going on with respect to the fraud.
Of course it is.
At least $19 billion.
Yeah.
You're hearing 9. Now I'm hearing it's 19, and it's probably much more. So it's they talk about incompetence. I think it's not incompetence.
Yeah.
I think it's just pure fraud.
Of course it is.
These are dishonest
Of course it is.
people. They're bad people.
Yeah.
I think they hate our country.
Yeah, they
And
do.
we're going to get to the bottom of it. But don't let this hide the fact that you have tremendous fraud. And,
Yep.
if we find the fraud in this country, you'll have a balanced budget without even cutting anything.
Yeah.
You'll literally have a balanced budget.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They ushered in a 40% increase in the the size of government because of COVID, and then they just looted it. And it was Democrat Party covering largesse, covering illegal aliens. Because see that they did the same thing. While they were doing that, increasing the size of the government, they were also opening the southern border so 20 million illegals could come in. They could load them with a bunch of free stuff to get them to vote Democrat in Democrat states, because people with common sense who want to make a living and live the American dream are leaving Democrat states because they suck so badly. So there's another reason, Democrats. Maybe you ought to call your congressman. Maybe you start, electing somebody who has a brain and is reasonable and not a Marxist or a communist. How about that? All right, we got a lot of stuff on the show. Much more coming out of Minneapolis. Dr. Oz talked to Rob Schmidt on Newsmax last night about all of the fraud going on in the country. That's your tax dollars, people. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
With the actions he's taken, Jacob Fry is making Minneapolis a clown town. Ice fries a bosun while Tim Walz is dozing. City has become a clown town. Ilhan Omar's hiding fraud, Keith Ellison's obstructing a war on law enforcement. Jacob Fry's conducting. Temp on Tim is so incompetent. Most Minnesotans want no more of him. It's a clown town, Minneapolis, clown town. It's far from fabulous, clown town. Once great cities become clown town, clown town.
We'll clean up the mess Kamala, she did not address. Open borders, he will abort, and illegals, he will deport. Thomas Homan, he will say no, man. You must go, man. Mexico, man, you're headed back. Thomas Homan, he's a former cop. Border jumpers, Tom is gonna stop. Used to be in charge of ICE. 2 illegals, Tom will not be nice. Thomas Homan, they ought to know, man. He's not a showman. Thomas Homan will kick you out.
You better start packing now.
Thomas Homan, he is your foe man.
Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
We had a massive fraud going on all through Minneapolis, all through Minnesota, and suddenly it turned. It turned almost on a dime, and it became suddenly all about ICE, all about getting ICE out and how horrible ICE was doing. But really what we have here is a massive underground fraud network operating in Minneapolis, and we had a very strong pushback when we raised our hands and said stop. And so, yes, we have multiple investigations going on. We sent prosecutors from Maine Justice. We sent prosecutors from other U.S. attorneys' offices all over the country.
Yeah. That is Todd Blanchett. He is the AG, the Deputy AG of the United States of America. And we are discovering that the Democrat Party is the as corrupt as the communists in the Soviet Union were. And they have been stealing and looting us and taking from us. And honestly, it's worse than I could have ever imagined. I love the fact that we know it. I mean, honestly, aren't you glad you know this? Because if Kamala Harris would have become the president, they would have quadrupled down on this. We would have never discovered this. Did you think it was going to be easy once we did uncover this? Did you think that they weren't going to die like movie vampires? That's what they're doing, and they're lashing out in every way, shape, and form, and they're saying absolutely ridiculous things like Jerry Nadler, the Nadler. He's a Batman villain, by the way, and he pulls his pants up to his nipples, and he smells probably like sardines.
The attacks on American citizens by
sardines and mothballs.
Masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person.
There he is actually saying you could justify shooting an ICE agent because they wear a mask, because they are getting doxxed, and because attacks on ICE officers have increased 1,400% because of jackweeds like this.
To protect yourself. But we see people being shot for what? For driving a car?
Just trying to drive a car over somebody.
We see people, the ICE goons break into people's homes without a warrant?
No, they are not breaking into homes without a warrant, and they don't need a warrant from a judge to go after an illegal alien who has been released into the community.
We see them drag out a man, an American citizen, in his underwear without even permitting him in the snow, without even...
Okay, whatever. Honestly, ridiculous. This is Batya Ungar-Sargon talking about what ICE agents are going through because of this nonsense.
Definitely anybody who violated an American's civil rights should be held accountable. Let's all remember the circumstances in which ICE is operating.
Yeah, let's do that, shall we?
Today I saw...
Because wasn't it in 2020 that the Democrat Party said the police were like Nazis and defunded them, and then the crime went through the roof and everything? Yeah, I remember that.
A video of a white protester calling an ICE agent by the N-word repeatedly.
She called an ICE agent a house N-word, is what it is. She called him this Karen from Minneapolis.
Utterly disgusting. We have seen ICE agents plowed into with cars.
Yeah.
We have seen that.
That's why the woman was shot through the windshield, because she was trying to run him over. And generally, when the bullet goes through the windshield, it means the officer is in front of the car.
Getting sprayed. We have seen them, the whistles. We have seen them being attacked physically. So, the situation is complicated.
It's ridiculous, actually. This is a Democrat Representative Yasemin Ansari saying that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these agencies, the DHS and ICE, who've been around since post 9/11, are suddenly Donald Trump's secret police.
This description, what you have put forward and what we've seen across this country, ICE is not law enforcement. They're also not immigration enforcement.
What are they then?
They are literally Trump's personal paramilitary force turned against civilians, no different than many authoritarian regimes around the world.
What I tell you, I told you they're dying like movie vampires, and they will say anything, no matter how outrageous it is, to detract from their absolute corruption. Here's Ted Lieu. I saw this creep the other day when I was in the Capitol. He was walking down the street or down the stairs with Mr. Deadeyes, Hakeem Jeffries, another evil individual. Yeah, I think he's pretty evil. Anyway, he was walking. Ted Lieu was, his little toady walking behind him, right behind him. And old Ted Lieu standing. Here's what he had to say about, and this is, by the way, after nothing has shown any any connection to Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, but all of a sudden, a whole lot of Democrat connection to Jeffrey Epstein, including Bill Gates. We'll get to that later in the show. But here's one of the extraordinarily irresponsible, and I'm hoping slanderous things he said about the president yesterday.
Why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, Donald Trump threatening to kill children.
Donald Trump raping and threatening to kill children. That's absolute false. There's nothing like that at all in it. But now they're just making crap up, just throwing it out there. Donald Trump killed a puppy and ate it with his bare hands. It's right there in the Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. Shut up. I'm just so done with your nonsense. And here's what they're trying to cover up. Among other things, this is Dr. Oz last night with Rob Schmidt on the state of Minnesota. And as for those of you who think that the Somalians are a good and decent people, even though they come from the meth lab trailer park of the world, Somalia. Just listen to this.
Are stealing the care that Americans deserve. Let's switch to Minnesota for a second. Minnesota expected to spend $3 million for autism. It's now $400 million. Why? Because everybody in the community signed their kids up as though they're autistic. Why? You were paying them. These moms literally took bribes to lie that their kids had autism.
They're good and decent people.
Rob, if one child in the neighborhood has autism, they get care, they get support, we can give them money. If every kid in the neighborhood has autism, nobody has autism because you can't get to a provider. Right. And we have...
Yeah, there you go. So that's the truth. All of a sudden, all of the Somalians came up with the autism fraud, and then they got Somali parents to pretend like their kids have autism, so they could keep the fraud going, and then stuff suitcases of money and send them back to glorious Somalia, glorious and lovely Somalia. Oh my God! But old Jacob Fry wants us to feel bad for the Somali businesses. Like the daycares that don't have children because they're going out of business.
So I'm sitting at my desk here and just got some really sobering figures about the impact that this Operation Metro surge by ICE is having on our communities. And we've all heard about the families getting torn apart. We've all heard about the constitutional violations.
No, not really.
We've heard about people going hungry. And in addition to that...
Really? Like the $250 million to supposedly feed children that never fed children?
There's a massive impact.
Might help if you actually, use the money to feed children.
On our small and local businesses. Small local businesses collectively are losing between $10 and $20 million.
It would help if you didn't burn down your damn city and you made it hospitable to anybody. And when people come to visit, you don't follow them around and look up their license plate number and threaten them that you're going to kill them. Maybe you could make Minneapolis a place that doesn't suck so badly. Maybe if you didn't make it a dystopian hellhole, business would be better. How about that? Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Hello, my name is Brian Delatry, and I started taking Relief Factor just about a year ago. I was having chronic knee pain over time. It just got worse and worse. Just walking downstairs was painful. Well, since I've taken Relief Factor, the results have been just amazing. I actually walk 4 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week. No pain at all going downstairs. Very active playing golf, and it's been really just unbelievable in the change I've had in the pain in my knee. Hope that someone who's experienced the same type of pain gives Relief Factor a try. And I guarantee if you get the results that I have, you'll be very happy. I'm going to continue using the product because I am now pain-free.
Don't wait. If you're dealing with daily pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Go to ReliefFactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain?
Who's ruined his state. Now he wants our children to self-mutilate. His policies are disgusting and lewd. And now he says schools have to include tampons in the boys' room. Tampons in the boys' room. Tim Walz and Kamala, a couple of fools, and everybody knows that liberals want to ruin schools. Tim allowed his cities to be burned by BLM. Criminals, illegals, they can count on Tim. His uniform, Tim was disgraced. He really crossed the line the moment that he placed tampons in the boys' room. Tampons in the boys' room. Tim Walz is a commie. Kamala is too. And everyone should know the damage that these two could do. Homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews are Rob Carson's friends. Better believe that they'll be friends to the end. Willie! A new coalition to promote freedom. They're all about liberty. The perfect trio to combat the left and look out for you and me. Mamas, please let your babies grow up to be homeboys. Hillbillies and Hebrews is who you should raise. You'll receive nothing but absolute praise. Homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews are saving this country. They love this land and they'll give you a hand. We need to give them our thanks. Homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews are friends to this nation. They've got our back when we're under attack. Homeboys, hillbillies, Hebrews.
Businesses along cultural corridors are down at least 50%, and the Latino-owned businesses and Somali-owned businesses are drastically below that. Hotels have lost about $4.4 million because of cancellations. And so for those that claim that they care about our economy and care about businesses, that
is the Justin Trudeau of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis. I used to live there. I lived there about 5 years. In the 90s, it was pretty loony. I mean, it was pretty loony. It was well way ahead of its time. They had a lot of gauged ears and purple hair in the 90s in Uptown, but it has since gone completely off the rails. And the mayor needs to understand that nobody wants to go to Minneapolis anymore. Because you've made it into an awful, awful place. I remember Mall of America. I used to love Mall of America. You remember the Mall of America? They call it MOM because it's Mall of America. It used to be spectacular. They had this big amusement park in the middle. It used to be called Camp Snoopy, and now I think it's called Camp Sharia. Anyway, it was a really cool place, man. You want to go Mall of America? They had one store There's so many stores. One store just sold refrigerator magnets. I'm not kidding. There were some restaurants in there. It was cool, man. It was a really cool place. I met Arnold Schwarzenegger there. You had a big thing at Planet Hollywood. I had dinner with Dionne Warwick sitting right there in the booth with me. It was crazy. So It was a fun place to live, except for the winters are hell. The winters are like your childbirth, okay? You go through the winter, and then you say, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. And then when summer rolls around, you're out on Lake Minnetonka or whatever, doing whatever, and you kind of forget the winter, and you go, okay, this is a pretty beautiful place. Well, now it's just a dystopian crap hole, to be quite honest. And the Democrat Party has done this to it. It's an absolutely corrupt place to live, and all of this is kind of interesting. Police have torn down anti-ICE road blockades after masked men assaulted a reporter. These idiots had been, they got a little dispatching system where people come into the city and they'll look up your plates as soon as you're into the city. It's like Escape from New York. It's nuts. And they will look up your plate to see if you're whatever, it doesn't matter who you're from. If you're driving a car that looks like a black SUV, something that might be a federal car. We heard James O'Keefe suddenly surrounded by zombies in downtown Minneapolis. That's insane. You cannot run a city like this where people come in from out of town to visit their relatives, and you got some idiots standing at an intersection in South Minneapolis, Nicollet Avenue or whatever, and they stop you and ask for your ID and run your plates, and they're not working for any agency? Are you out of your mind? But that's what they're doing. That's what they are doing in Minneapolis. And now the police finally have had some common sense and are starting to get rid of them. Here is Todd Blanche, the assistant AG, the deputy AG of the U.S.
Not a local cop in sight. And again, this is what's happening all over Minneapolis. You have this effort by local leadership to just say, we don't care, we're going to let all this happen, and we don't care if ICE officers have their fingers bit off, we don't care if there's protests going on that are actually turned into riots, we don't care about that, and it's horrible, and we've been pounding the pavement, don't do this. President Trump said, he talked to the governor, he talked to the mayor, please change your tactics, and we really need them to do that, or we're not going to fix this problem.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, finally, it sounds like business owners are saying, we're kind of done with this. I heard Cargill was going to leave Minnesota. Cargill, and you know what? If I was Target, I would pull the hell out of Minnesota. Target is now being targeted by crazy cat ladies in Minnesota. White liberal women, insane liberal women, are going after Target. It makes no sense at all. This is where they shop. This is the same woke store that a few years ago sold swimsuits to little boys so they could tuck their junk and pretend to be little girls. Remember all that? And these crazy cat ladies, these self-loathing, awful, wretched women in Minnesota, they're targeting Target. And if I were Target, I'd say, you know what? I'm gone. I'm out of here. This is Jorge Ventura, and he was driving along the other day in Minneapolis, and this is maybe what caused the police to finally say, enough is enough.
These left-wing activists were very aggressive. This was called a filter blockade. It was essentially a makeshift checkpoint in Minneapolis. This was located on Cedar Avenue and 32nd, and I arrived earlier this morning alongside photojournalist Eric Herrera. We were only planning to really stay a few minutes, take a few images of this blockade. I honestly couldn't even believe that it was still up. More than 24 hours, I didn't see any local law enforcement when I arrived. As soon as we got there, the agitators were very aggressive, questioning me. What I found interesting is we actually started documenting them actually.
Would you want to live in this city? If you had a home in Minneapolis, years ago, I had the opportunity to buy a duplex near Uptown. It was $170,000. This is, 30 years ago. And it went up to like $500,000 in value. I wouldn't give you a dime to own a property in Minneapolis now.
Stopping vehicles, stopping American citizens, asking for ID, and actually running their license plates. They said they were running these license plates and turning them over into a database to see if they were ICE agents. And while we were documenting this, our Uber driver was parked to the side. They actually ran the license plate of his car, and they actually accused him of being an ICE agent. He was a Somalian Uber driver, so that didn't make any sense. But
wait, a Somalian actually working in Minneapolis? No way, man. Well, of course, he drives the Uber. He drops off his invisible children that don't exist at the Somali daycare where there are no children being taken care of, and he's got to go out and make a living. And Minneapolis, the DFL, the Democrat Farmers Laborers Party, is so bloody damn corrupt. This is Michelle Bachmann, okay, ex-congresswoman from Minnesota. And apparently Minneapolis pre-prints ballots. And the Minnesota Secretary of State holds election certification until they know how many ballots they need to run through for Democrats to win. Listen to this. And by the way, there's always been questions about Omar. There's always been questions about vote harvesting in little Somalia there. And all of this is coming out. This is why they're, burning down the city and trying to keep people out and all of this.
That they are pre-printing these ballots. And Minneapolis is also always the last to report because the statewide elections are all stolen in Minneapolis. Yeah. So they wait to see, okay, did we get all the votes from the outlying rural areas? Because Minnesota is
kind of like what they did in 2020 in all the battleground states.
Basically a red state, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But once we know what that vote total is, Steve Simon, the Democrat corrupt Secretary of State in Minnesota, then he makes sure that they hold everything up. They don't certify.
How many we got to print to win?
Anything until the Minneapolis votes come in, and they say, how many do we need? And then they put that many in, and then Steve Simon, okay, we're going to certify the election results. Then the book is closed. There's nothing you can do about it.
No.
And then that's who's won the election.
That's the way it works, man. If I was a farmer in Minnesota, one of you sugar beet farmers, they in northern Minnesota, they farm sugar beets. Did you know this? They're the size of basketballs. It's crazy. And they got also mines up there too, by the way. They're starting to dig up there but honestly, the rest of the state, if I lived in the rest of the state voted 3 times for Donald Trump, by the way. In case you didn't know, it's just Minneapolis that's bloody nuts. That's it. Here is Jim Gossett as the president about Minneapolis.
With the actions he's taken, Jacob Fry is making Minneapolis a clown town. Ice fries opposing while Tim Walz is dozing. City has become a clown town. Ilhan Omar's hiding fraud, Keith Ellison's obstructing.
Jail.
A war on law enforcement, Jacob Fry's conducting.
Jail.
Temp on Tim is so incompetent. Most Minnesotans want no more of him. It's a clown town, Minneapolis, clown town. It's far from fabulous, clown town. Once great cities become.
It was. Not
clown
anymore.
town.
Couldn't pay me to go there now.
Clown
Can't
town.
imagine why the hotel bookings are down. Who wouldn't want to go to Minneapolis since 2020 when it burned down and now this? I mean, who wouldn't want to make that a vacation destinations for your family? It's ridiculous. Let's take a break and come back, shall we? This is the Rob Carson Show. is the Rob Carson Show. Talking a lot about Minneapolis, but California is super duper 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 Friday. So is Illinois, by the way. This is why all these Democrat governors and mayors are standing in the schoolhouse door to keep people from federal authorities from coming in, not only to reduce crime, make people's lives better. You may notice that all of these protesters in places like Minneapolis are white, largely women. The same goes with the No Kings, all of this nonsense. And I've got some stuff on that next hour. A lot of people of color, black people is what we call them. They're realizing, oh yeah, what Malcolm said about the white liberal was true. Yeah, we can't trust them. They're our worst enemy. And it is absolutely 100% true. But here is Rob Schmidt last night on Newsmax. You should watch Rob Schmidt every night on Newsmax. Spectacular show. Listen to what's going on in California.
And they're also stealing their ID, and you're stealing their ability to go to take Medicare benefits, because when you go to hospice, you actually give up your insurance to go into a program designed for your last few months of life. Yet, Rob, many of the people in these hospice centers, they have 100% survival rates. Like, no one dies. They're not dying. They're fakely put on these lists.
People they're faking terminal illness to get hospice care money.
And so we need to take this stuff serious. I'm gonna ask one big question to the audience. Are you ready?
What?
Why would anyone let this happen? I'm hoping you're all wondering that. I wondered that.
Because the Democrat Party is absolutely corrupt.
Well, here's
that's
the scale of this indicates that just nobody cares.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not Democrats. They overlook it because ultimately they get money into their campaign coffers and they enrich themselves. Ilhan Omar, anybody, and they enrich themselves. Somali votes, anyone? All Democrat, 100%. Keith Ellison literally said he'll call off the hounds with regard to investigating fraud in the Somali community. He literally is caught on, and he literally said he was going to keep the money flowing in suitcases through the Minneapolis airport back to Somalia, laundering money, laundering American tax dollars, cash to Somalia to the tune of billions of dollars. And I got to tell you, it's all coming down, man. It is all coming down on these corrupt politicians. And then, of course, the Democrat Party, they've required illegal votes to get elected, and this is why the Democrat Party is so freaked out about the possibility of a voter ID, even though the American people want it overwhelmingly. Democrats don't want to get rid of illegals. They want to defund the organizations that get rid of them and arrest them because they want to keep those people here to vote for them. Americans overwhelmingly support deporting criminal illegals. 73% agree that entering the U.S. without permission, breaking the law. 61% support deporting illegal aliens to their home countries. How about make your country suck less? How about just when you go back, take a copy of the Bill of Rights and the U.S. Constitution, and then just say, hey, maybe we ought to try that here. Instead of bleeding out our population to America, where they go in and they get free crap and they send back suitcases of money. How about that? I know it's a little harder. I know it's going to take a little effort. But when am I going to try? It worked for us. It made us into the greatest engine of economic and individual liberty in the history of mankind. We played golf on the moon in 55 years ago. That's how damn cool America is. We came up with blue jeans and rock and roll. And we made cricket into baseball, and we made rugby into football, and we completely kick ass. So you might want to try that. Maybe your country could stop sucking so badly if you just become like America. 58% reject Democrats' extremist calls to defund ICE. What? Really? Yeah. 54% support ICE enforcing our nation's federal immigration laws. That's crazy. I thought they were Nazis. I guess 54% of Americans are Nazis. Solid majority approves of Trump's strong response to anti-ICE riots in Minneapolis. What? Really? Yeah. 73% say criminal illegal aliens should be deported, with over half extending that to all illegal aliens with no lawful right. 10% of us want state and local officials to cooperate with federal authorities to deport illegal aliens. 67% say local jails should hand over criminal illegal aliens to federal authorities for swift deportation. Backed by 62% of independents, even 50% of Democrats. 60% see Democrats as actively encouraging resistance to ICE officers simply trying to do their jobs and keep America safe. 57% oppose elected officials stoking chaos by urging defiance against ICE. This is why the Democrat Party will not win this. Because the American people are still who we are, thank God. We haven't become what the left wants America to become, which is a Marxist, socialist hellhole. That's basically it. That is basically it. Yesterday, there was a vote on the SAVE Act. No, there was no vote, actually. John Thune to separate it from the funding bill.
And so you have to make some judgments, and the conference will have a conversation about that. I've committed to that. As I said, we will vote on the SAVE Act, but exercising or triggering a talking filibuster has ramifications, implications that I think everybody needs to be aware of.
Yeah.
So we will have those discussions, but that's...
You better get her done, boy. You better get... right now, a lot of people are on the fence about you, really on the fence about you, wondering what you are. We Republicans, I should say we conservatives. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Do you have...
All right, kids, hold on a second. I'm going to look at gold. Price of gold. Well, $4,900. Make it a comeback. Make it a comeback. Hey, you guys over there on the Rumbly Roo. Dookie Bear, what's going on, baby? What's going on? Shuttered. How are you? Dookie Bear, what's up? Come back. This is the Rob Carson. What? I don't know what you're talking about. There was a little issue today with the stream, I think, on Rumble. Everything else is running smoothly. I made a dish with sausage. Well, I hope you made etouffee, because that's pretty, andouille sausage is real good. Crawdad boil with the corn on the cob and potatoes. Delicious. Mickey Hastings, hello. Look at all the over on YouTube. Gary McGovern, what's going on? America Marcy, always good to see you there.
Just had polling that showed that 75%, 8% of black Americans, Hispanic Americans, white Americans, doesn't matter your color, want to have voter ID in our elections. Look, the only reason you don't want to have voter ID is because you want people to vote who aren't citizens or shouldn't be voting. That's the simple truth. They're going to cry, Jim Crow, they're going to cry that it's racist because that's their tired, playbook. But we've got legislation that has massive support across the country from all walks of life. That's why Democrats don't want it. So this is why I think Thune should put it on the Senate floor, force them to have a filibuster where they stand up and defend it.
It's time to start fighting. It's time to get rid of the Marcus of Queensberry rules versus the MMA fight, and get this passed, for God's sake.
The only threat to our elections, like all this, people that are in a tizzy about President Trump, the only threat to elections are the people who are here who will steal our elections by voting without voter ID.
Yeah.
Like all of the fraud that we're seeing in Minneapolis, right? All of that fraud. That's just the tip of the iceberg of the kinds of things if they can do that there with child care facilities, what do you think they're doing in the voting process? We know they are engaging.
This is why Democrats say there's no voter fraud.
This on purpose. There's a reason Democrats are all concerned about this. Why would they be concerned about ICE being near voting locations?
Why?
Because they don't want enforcement of the law.
Oh, yeah, they want illegals to vote.
There. So enter the SAVE Act, which I introduced 2 years ago. Mike Lee introduced this in the Senate, which, as you know, ensures that you have voter identification, i.e., you have to prove your citizenship to register.
The American people want it. It's about damn time they got it. But here's old Mark. No. Let's do Chris Murphy. He's insane. Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy. Again, all we're asking is prove who you are before you vote, so that my vote won't get stolen.
The SAVE Act, in and of itself, is a terrible piece of legislation.
No, it's not. It's awesome.
But probably doesn't give the president the power he wants to come in and take over an election.
See, they're terrified they're going to lose the midterms, so they're going to start saying, they already are saying, that Donald Trump's trying to steal them.
I do think the president is going to put the screws to John Thune and his allies in the Senate, because his options to steal the election are going to continue.
Not stealing the election like you guys did in 2020.
Continue to narrow. And so he is likely to want a piece of legislation.
You know you're going to get your butts kicked in the midterm.
May not be
because you're not offering anything good. All you're doing is offering, I'm going to impeach Donald Trump in the 25th Amendment, even though the economy's kicking butt and the border's shut down.
Constitutional, but at least tests the question to the Supreme Court of whether are circumstances where he can come in.
All we're asking for is what every other civilized country in the world does. Prove your citizenship if you want to vote in the country in which you're a resident. That's it. There's no debating it whatsoever. The Democrats are completely on the wrong side of the law and common sense on this. Hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show is right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show. There's a lot of stuff in the going on right now. There's Scott Bessent is testifying on Capitol Hill. The Democrats are acting like complete morons, just unhinged morons. I'll monitor that and share when I decide it's interesting. Tom Homan has just revealed that Minnesota counties are letting ICE into jails. They're getting unprecedented cooperation. The left has caved. Listen.
Attorney General Mayor Frey and law enforcement officials about increasing coordination in a lawful way between the county jails and ICE to avoid public safety threats being released back in the community.
Wow.
While we had our differences, one thing was clear. We all committed to public safety for all who live in the Twin Cities. We have made significant progress under the direction of President Trump, working with state and local officials here in Minnesota.
There you go. So they're pulling out 700 federal agents because Tom Homan went in there. Donald Trump, a masterful chess move, by the way, masterful chess move, and basically defused the rage machine in Minneapolis and made them impotent. And even the police are getting rid of these morons who are, barricading streets and whatnot. Here's a little bit of Scott Bessent today. Here is what Democrats try to do. What Democrats try to do is they try to filibuster when people are talking. And here is Maxine Waters, and she's trying to filibuster and act like the tariffs have really damaged American trade. That hasn't done a really good job. Listen to this.
Levied tariffs on housing production goods like lumber and steel, as well as appliances. These tariffs will result in half.
Lumber is
reclaiming my time. You don't get to talk.
Lumber is at a 5-year low, Congresswoman.
Reclaiming my time.
Reclaiming my time. Here she is telling Scott Bessent to shut up, and him saying, "Will you maintain some level of dignity?"
Well, the housing stock. 10 and 20 million immigrants.
Can you
look
shut
at the housing stock of working Americans, and can you maintain some level of dignity?
Legislative time is maintain some level of dignity, for God's sake. And by the way, do something about your hair, because it's unbelievable. This is hold on a second. With his Scott Bessent with Joyce Beatty. Joyce Beatty, a heated exchange, and of course she's trying to filibuster him again.
Of appropriated funds, Treasury will be.
Is this going to be a yes or no?
Program award.
Mr. Secretary.
Listen to her. She's trying to talk to him like he's a first grader and she's a teacher.
No. I'm going to abide by the chairman's rules, but I have some rules.
Do you?
You can say yes or no.
Yeah.
And then if you say yes, you may continue to give that support. If it's a no, then you tell me why not.
Okay.
And now we need to be clear.
All right.
Yes, let's start with the yes or no. I'm trying to be respectful.
He's an intelligent adult. You not so much.
But you're not going to do what you want to do on my time.
Yeah.
Yes or no, or you can say I'm not going to answer it. Now move on.
Number 3.
Okay. There you go. Right. He is my favorite. I got to tell you, old Scott Bessent, he is my favorite cabinet secretary. He is just fantastic to watch, I got to tell you. I got another, Scott Bessent calling out the New York Times because the New York Times is like, Donald Trump needs the 25th Amendment. Donald Trump. And Scott Bessent on stage with the New York Times reporter said, really? What about Joe Biden?
You had what was one of the greatest scandals of all time, that the coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up.
And that's why it's probably fair to raise these questions.
Where was the New York Times?
Yeah.
We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden administration did not have a cabinet meeting.
Yeah, remember when Jill Biden had one? It was like kindergarten roundup. She had a cabinet meeting. She led a cabinet meeting. The kindergarten teacher who isn't as intelligent as the kindergartners.
How are you going
And she dresses like a couch.
to invoke the 25th Amendment if the cabinet secretaries never see the president, which they didn't?
No, not at all. Scott Bessent is my favorite. I think he's fantastic. He's just fantastic. Oh. One of the foot soldiers of the left, the Democrat Party, has discovered they can use crazy cat ladies to carry their water. They're the liberal women are the most susceptible to mental illness and social contagion. It's just true. I think that if they, as part of the FACE Act for the SAVE Act for voting, they should make it illegal for liberal women to vote, and then be subject to a mental health evaluation. Really, Rob? Really? That's so sexist. No. Listen.
There's one thing I've noticed about community taking videos of ICE agents getting in and out.
Now, these are two Karens, by the way. One of them says you should get into an ICE vehicle and throw some sardine in, and then the other woman saying that she'd rather kill her children than have them subjected to ICE. So here we go.
Of their car is that those vehicles are unlocked. Do with that information what you will. The smell of sardines is really hard to get out of a vehicle.
Okay.
If it comes down to me taking out myself and my kids versus us being taken and harmed by ICE, like, God help me, I did not want to do it. This is not the life I wanted. But that is a very dark thought that I've had. Death would be a easier out than for my children to be taken and harmed by.
She's so bat guano crazy. Not only did she entertain the thought of killing her children, she put it on social media. oh boy. Woo. I would never want to meet her on Match.com. I'd wake up with a bunny boiling on my stove. Here's some more bat guano crazy leftist women subject to social contagion who shouldn't be allowed to vote and should be subjected to mental health screenings.
Women, especially Latinas, and
Latinas. I thought it was Latinx. I thought it was Latinx. That's what the Democrats were saying.
Asian American women and women of color are not safe in Trump's America. We're not safe walking down the street, not driving home, not when masked men jump out of their car to smash your car window.
Minneapolis, which is currently under occupation. For us to
Ilhan Omar. Please, God, please send her back to Somalia after a prison sentence, penniless.
dismantle this department that is not just rogue, but unlawful. And yes, obviously, if Kristi Noem does not resign and the president doesn't fire her, Democrats are ready and willing to impeach her.
Okay, yeah, good luck with that. Oh, and then there's another one. Not only are Donald Trump going to round up women. Yeah, come on now, women, get in there. Yeah, we're going to round up these women. Come on, everybody, let's get these women in here. Yeehaw! Bring on these women. We're bringing them home. We're rounding up these women. Not only that, but this crazy Karen says that Donald Trump and the, I guess the conservatives, whatever, are taking women's bank accounts.
They're closing women's bank accounts. I repeat, they are closing women's bank accounts in the U.S. right now.
Really? Okay.
So last month, my credit card got its credit limit lowered with no explanation.
Maybe have you checked your credit rating?
And they gave like a dozen reasons.
Yeah, like you weren't making enough money, like you can't pay back your credit card balance.
So they didn't tell me specifically what the reason was. I don't know.
It's because you have a vagina.
If they are going down.
Donald Trump says you have a vagina. We're going to round you up, and then we're going to take away your money. Weehaw!
Down the whole of The Handmaid's Tale and literally watching.
Oh my God! She even used The Handmaid's Tale.
And copying the TV show and canceling all of the women's bank accounts and trying to lower our credit limits and all this other stuff.
Wow!
But what I
had no idea. I didn't vote for that.
You know, is that it is suspicious as hell.
Oh yes.
Because in all of these videos and all of these comment sections, it is just.
Yeah. Again, I think we should take away the right to vote of liberal women and subject to a...
Well, they have a lot of cats.
Mental health screening.
And they're all Democrats, we call them Karen.
Wow.
Woo! They have a whiny voice. They are all pro-choice and mostly barren.
Ouch, ouch.
They're cat ladies.
Rare.
Whoa, they're cat ladies. Talking about some miserable ladies who have clearly lost their minds.
I can see why liberal men, are the way they are.
These Karens don't like ICE. They often pay a price mistakes they're making.
And and they never eat bacon.
Karenism is their curse. Could go to jail or worse for their law breaking. They're cat ladies. Don't have a child, they're cat ladies. Talking about submissive ladies who are out of their mind.
I think it's in the cat. It's in the cat feces. I think there's something in the cat feces driving them nuts. And by the way, again, all of these anti-ICE people, largely white women, all these pro-Hamas pro-Hamas protesters. I know. In New York, they're all white women. On the other side of the break, another thing that the Democrat Party says that asking for an ID is racist, and it's an insult to black people. On the other side of the break, I get this guy. He went out and he did a little on the street reporting on a website called End Wokeness, and he interviewed white liberals about voter ID and black people about voter ID. And believe it or not, the liberals are super duper racist. We're going to have that on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
TVM.
All right, Rob, I got a boom boom rejoin.
Oh, boom boom, baby.
Would I launch strikes in Mexico to stop drugs? It's okay with me. Boom, 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 boom.
Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. How. Big Head Todd, their treatment of that great song, Boom, Boom, Boom. By the way, it sounds like, hopefully, and I'm hoping that Donald Trump does a little boom, boom with Iran. Iran is flirting with their destruction. I really do. Please, just give us an excuse to bomb the snot out of the Ayatollah. To send a missile up his Ayatollah. Navy shoots down an Iranian aircraft approaching U.S. carrier. The United States Navy fighter jet shot down an Iranian drone that approached the USS Abraham Lincoln. Well, they tried to shoot Abraham Lincoln again, and we got in the way this time. United States Central... Too soon! United States Central Command, CENTCOM, said the unmanned aircraft aggressively approached a U.S. naval aircraft with unclear intent, CENTCOM said. The drone still pursued a path toward the aircraft carrier despite de-escalatory measures by the carrier. A F-35C shot the thing down. Come on, man. Just one more little poke of that pit bull, Ayatollah. One more little poke. I just want to hear some explosions. I want to hear some explosions. Strategic explosions. Heavily armed Iranian gunboat attempts to seize a U.S. tanker. Okay, again. Oh, please, just give them an excuse. Iranian gunboats attempted to seize a U.S.-flagged oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz on Tuesday amid escalating tensions between Tehran and D.C. Please, FAFO on this. The Stina Imperative was transiting international waters. Strait of Hormuz was approached by armed vessels linked to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards. Heavily armed gunboats threatened to board and seize the ship, but the tanker maintained its course, now escorted by the guided missile destroyer USS McFall. I wouldn't F around with them if I were you. Gold is coming back. Look at this. It was $5,500 about a week and a half ago, dropped to like $4,600. People sold off because it went up $500 in one day last week. So people decided to take the profits. And some people freaked out. Oh, my God, gold is collapsing. No. People just taking profits. It went up that much. Now it's $49.05. Today it's back up to 40. Now it's pushing $5,000 again. What did I tell you? Now's your chance to buy. Text my name, Rob, to 989898 for Birch Gold. 989898 for Birch Gold. It was $5,600. Then it dropped to $4,600. Now it's back up to $49. Now's your time to buy. If you have an underperforming 401k, now's the time to buy. Silver is back at $85. It was $116, dropped way down. Now it's back. What did I tell you? People sold off. People took profits. Now it's time for you to buy in. And maybe when it's $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 an ounce, then you can take the profits. All right? Text my name, Rob, to 989898. It's Birch Gold. They're a company I trust. They have my money, for God's sake. I wouldn't promote them if I didn't have my money invested in Birch Gold. They are A+ rating from the BBB. They're awesome. So there you go. Scott Bessent on Capitol Hill rolling over the ignorant Maxine Waters. This is what happens when you have an intelligent person who's well-informed in front of a bunch of ignorant Democrats who just want to shout.
I believe the ranking member does not understand the definition of generalized inflation versus one-time price increases. I would also note that housing, especially for working Americans, a Wharton study has shown that the mass unfettered immigration, adding 10 to 20 million new people demanding housing, Congresswoman, is what caused a great deal of housing inflation for working Americans.
It did.
So you and the Biden administration should be ashamed.
Which is also why we are seeing rents. There was just a recent media story on this. Rents are going down.
Well, there you go. Old Maxine, she wasn't talking then, so she couldn't yell at him and say, "Shut up, shut up." Here is Scott Bessent being assaulted by a Democrat congressman.
Serious question and a serious issue for the financial services industry, especially as the Secretary
Mr. Lynch
of the Treasury. Well, that's an important. No, this is my time. I haven't asked any more questions.
See, that's what Democrat. It's my time, so I can scream at you and filibuster.
I haven't asked you any more questions.
It's the gentleman from Massachusetts.
I'm trying to get to my next question.
Could you speak a little louder? I can't hear you.
There's Scott Bessent. Can you speak a little louder? I can't hear you because you're yelling and stuff. And then there's Gregory Meeks, a representative, started screaming incoherently at Secretary Bessent.
All you have to ask is yes or no.
No, Congressman.
All you have to ask
the
is yes or no.
OCC is an independent entity, and I would know, Congressman.
So I take that as a no.
You traveled to Venezuela.
I take that as a no.
On behalf of
I take that as a no.
On behalf of your donors.
You do not want to answer that question.
This is just amazing. They don't have an argument. This is what the Democrats do. They don't have an argument, so they yell at you. They go out and they protest, they burn stuff, they tell you to shut up, they censor you, all of this, and they lose the argument because they are morally and intellectually bankrupt. That's about it. That's all. I had mentioned that, the Democrats say that asking someone for an ID is racist. And the Democrats are very racist. And End Wokeness decided to go out and ask a bunch of white people, white liberals, about voter ID and whether or not it's racist, and to ask a person of color, a black person, to have an ID.
An opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way.
This gets much worse.
To perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority.
And that's where it gets racist.
Voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been...
yes, black people can't get IDs like the rest of us.
Described.
That's what they're saying.
Or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
Oh my God! Oh my God! And here they are asking black people, is it okay to ask for an ID?
Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
Because they're racist.
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Because they're racist.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with. ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because it's kind of racist. There you go. That's your Democrat Party, the liberal white person. That's who Malcolm X warned everybody about way back in the 1960s, for God's sake. Erin Van Natta, columnist for the Daily Caller, one of my favorite sites, joins us next. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, my name is Brian Delatry, and I started taking Relief Factor just about a year ago. I was having chronic knee pain. Over time, it just got worse and worse. Just walking downstairs was painful. Well, since I've taken Relief Factor, the results have been just amazing. I actually walk 4 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week. No pain at all going downstairs. Very active playing golf, and it's been really just unbelievable in the change I've had in the pain in my knee. Hope that someone who's experienced the same type of pain gives Relief Factor a try. And I guarantee if you get the results that I have, you'll be very happy. I'm going to continue using the product because I am now pain-free.
Don't wait. If you're dealing with daily pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Go to ReliefFactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain?
with talent on loan from God. And have my brain tied behind my back, to be fair. You were the sunshine of our life, Rush. That's why we'll miss you oh so much. You know, I'm the mayor of Realville here. You cut down liberals like a knife, Rush. El Rushball. Forever you'll be number one. I am Rush Limbaugh, household name. America needed a hero in all four corners of the world. And then you came to our rescue. The Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. Competition, you had zero. How could so much talent be inside of you? And don't doubt it. You were the sunshine of our life, Rush. That's why we listened every day. That's it. It's not much more complicated than that. You helped us get through all the strife, Rush. No one will ever take your place, because Rush was the sunshine. All audience expectations every day behind this golden EIB microphone.
First of all, isn't that ironic? Massive gates keeping people out. I thought Billy didn't believe in borders. Well, according to the driveway, Billy does believe in borders. She believes in massive gates keeping people out.
This is a GB News reporter outside of Billie Eilish's stolen ground mansion.
Couple of cameras up there as well. The lights are on, so somebody must be home. Let us in, please, Billy. We are here because this is stolen land, Billy, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion. And such is Billy's concern for security and privacy. It's surrounded by pretty decent security fencing. Very nice indeed. Massive security hedges as well.
I love the fact that these celebrities who mouth off, and they live in multi-million-dollar mansions, they say stupid crap like, we're living on stolen land, and then they find out they're actually the ones living on the stolen land. It's so spectacular. I just love it. It's so fun. It's so fun right now. I mean, I know we get a little stressed out because the Democrats are just insane, and they do insane stuff, but also they do really laughable stuff. Erin Van Natta, columnist for the Daily Caller, joins us on the Newsmax Hotline. Hello, Erin. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Are you? Were you a Grammy watcher this year?
I was not, but I don't really watch it any year.
No. Do you like music?
But I certainly did see the news and the crazy things that a lot of these celebrities said. Every time it just reminds me of something out of the Hunger Games, to be quite honest.
It really does. I love music. Don't get me wrong. I love music. I even like Billie Eilish's music. I like some of her stuff. I think her brother and her, they're like, from my generation, the Carpenters. They were Richard and Karen Carpenter.
Yeah.
They're brilliant. They were brilliant together. And she and her brother, Finnegan or whatever, they're brilliant. They really are. But, you say something stupid like that, living in a $3 million mansion on stolen land. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I noticed on you have pinned on the top of your Twitter feed a piece that you did for Substack. Hollywood's propaganda is meant to demoralize you. And I know that, but I'm going to tie this into, did you see how well Melania's documentary is doing? The best documentary in 10 years. It destroyed, I guess, 2 documentaries that the Obamas did because they're unlikable and uninteresting people. And now they're getting ready to launch another 200 theaters for Obama.
Yeah, I did. And we actually had our congressional reporter was at the a watch party for the release of the documentary, but it was great to see how well it did. I think, Hollywood, Netflix, like all these companies are constantly churning out so much slop. You probably saw recently that Angel Studios, David, like that movie did really well and beat out a lot of other box office movies with really famous actors and actresses, including one with Sydney Sweeney. So. Yeah, I think people are kind of just done with everything that Hollywood is putting out right now because it's the same story over and over.
I know.
And people are just tired of it.
Yeah, but there's some good stuff coming out. Billy Bob Thornton, his series Landman, right? That's been pretty politically incorrect. And when they take little samples of it, like when he went off on how stupid green energy and windmills are, just went crazy. There are some other shows. I watched Pluribus. Have you seen Pluribus? I didn't think that was political at all, actually. I thought it was, if anything, the opposite of that, even though the main character is a lesbian, but she's not like a, purple hair lesbian, setting up police barricades in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
She's just kind of a badass.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. I have seen the clips of Landman, though. I know there's one scene where I guess one of the characters discovers her roommate. It goes by like they, them, and then she has to talk to a therapist, and she's like, this is insane.
Yeah, and they really made fun of that person, the roommate, because it's like the Sydney Sweeney kind of hotness moves in with his college roommate who's just mad about everything, whether she has scented candles or whether, whatever, she doesn't use the proper pronouns, and they really destroyed her, and I think it's wonderful. I think, and I understand how Hollywood's propaganda is meant to demoralize you, but more and more people are like, I'll just turn it off. It's like the Super Bowl. I did a poll online. I said, are you going to skip the musical acts or skip the Super Bowl altogether? 55% of people said they're just going to skip halftime and the pregame, but 45% said they're going to skip the Super Bowl. So I don't know. Are you going to watch the Super Bowl this weekend? Or do you ever watch the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I feel like I should since I'm from Washington State.
Yes.
But, yeah, that's kind of, the difficult thing with the NFL and all these big sports organizations is that I think the audience is either conservative or just kind of apolitical.
Yeah.
But they continue to put on this woke performance because they don't get any pushback for it, or if they do, it's not enough to really hurt their bottom line. So I'm definitely sympathetic to the argument that people should just tune out, but I also don't think that it's the worst thing in the world if you just want to have some fun with your family and friends and cheer for your home team.
I do love football. You guys got a headline on the Daily Caller. Police union tells Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson to pound sand over an anti-ICE order. That's nice to hear, especially in Seattle, for God's sake. This is wonderful. What's up?
Well, the police unions, they're there to defend their officers, right? So they tend to be very pro, I guess, cracking down on crime.
Yeah.
They are not a fan of a lot of these really ludicrous mayors. I know I've done reporting on the past on the police union in Oakland, California, and just the rampant crime that's there. So yeah, I'm not super shocked that the police union is standing by their law enforcement officers and are pushing back on essentially these pro-crime policies. It's really tragic see what's happened to Seattle, because it's honestly a pretty beautiful city, but the leadership is just insane, and they've really just run the city to the ground, unfortunately.
Yeah. But, it sounds like things are turning around a little bit in Minneapolis, and it sounds like also that Donald Trump, and I said this when he was, he decided to pull the ICE director out and all of that, and then send Homan, and I said it was 3D chess, and it looks like it has been that. Homan moved in. Today we find out that they pull out 700 ICE agents, and local authorities are turning over illegal alien criminals before releasing them out on the street. That sounds like a victory.
Yeah, and another thing that's interesting is everyone, especially online, everyone's complaining about the optics of this and saying, "Oh, Americans are they don't support this." Well, there's this poll that just came out from Marquette Law School that shows that 56% of respondents are still in favor of deporting illegal immigrants. So the public support has not really changed since November. So, and you'll get different results based on what poll you look at. But I think in general, most people are Trump won for a reason. Greg Gutfeld had this monologue recently on The Five. I don't know if you saw, but he was just going down the line of all the women who have been murdered and assaulted because of Biden's open borders policies. So I think Americans, they look at the damage that's been wrought. And they see what Trump's doing in Minneapolis, and they got what they voted for, essentially.
Yeah, I think that the House of Cards is coming down on the Democrat Party in a lot of different ways. Can we continue this conversation on the other side of the break?
Yeah.
All right, more with Erin Van Natta, Daily Caller, on the Rob Carson Show. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I was groomed into this decision, and the same thing happened to Fox and her parents, her mother. My parents were also asked in front of me if they would rather have a dead daughter or a living son. And on TV was men like Bruce Jenner dressing up like women and saying it was normal and it made their lives healthy and happy and whole, and so on and so forth. Everything, it was an entire political movement, not grassroots, not organic, meant to trick and delude children and mentally ill people into losing body parts and their health.
Yeah, those who are made to believe absurdities will commit atrocities, and our medical establishment committed an atrocity that I would rank right up with the experiments that Josef Mengele did to children, twins in concentration camps. 100%. I said that from the very beginning. This is an absurdity. There always has been an absurdity. There was a hospital I used to do, Children's Hospital, glorious Children's National Medical Center, Washington, D.C. I used to do telethons for them all day long. Found out they were doing gender transition, which is nothing more than a mutilation of a child. It is making a mutilated eunuch for life. How dare the medical establishment, any doctor, have ever done this, knowing what you were doing? And they all did. Erin Van Natta, we have our first successful lawsuit against a malpractice ruling with regard to a young person, this Fox Varian, who filed a lawsuit for these medical providers for convincing her to go undergo double mastectomy, removal of breasts at 16. And isn't it about time this started to happen?
Yeah, no, and I mean, you would think that these hospitals would be that people en masse would be suing these hospitals, because this is unfortunately not an isolated incident. And you probably saw that yesterday. The first national medical organization, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, actually came out and said that there's no evidence to support these surgeries. Of course. For minors, because one of the arguments is that, well, they need these surgeries because otherwise they'll,
kill themselves,
commit suicide. So these surgeries are necessary. There's more benefit than risk, is what they'll argue.
So
that's not what this major medical org is saying, and that's definitely not what the evidence shows.
Okay, so if your kid tells you, "Let me do this, or I'm going to kill myself," do you let them do it? Really?
Right, exactly.
Are you nuts?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think a lot of parents are basically being blackmailed by either psychiatrists or doctors or activists. And there's a lot of pressure, especially imagine you're a parent in a really liberal city and your kid comes home and is like, I'm trans. And you're like, this is crazy, but all your friends, all the teachers, the educators, everyone is like pushing this agenda. So yeah, it's about time that, this movement... that this movement gets some sufficient pushback. And I think that it is dying. I think a lot of people on both sides of the aisle are starting to realize just how crazy it is.
I heard there were already like 30 lawsuits, similar lawsuits like this are happening, and it is going to rain down on these people. It's going to rain down on these people. And I think all these medical professionals, all these teachers, all these psychologists, all these anestheticians, all of these hormone, I can't remember the name of a hormone doctor, but all of them need to be punished. That they bought into this mania, and it was social contagion and mania. You cannot change a gender. All you can do is mutilate someone. All you can do is mutilate someone to appear as the opposite gender. They are still a male born as male or female born as female. And if your kid says, I'm going to kill myself, this is why they called it life-saving surgery. Because if you let your kid do it, they wouldn't kill themselves. How twisted is that, Erin?
It's evil. I mean, there really is no other word to describe it other than evil. And I think there is a tendency to kind of tiptoe around it. But, just call it what it is. These are mutilating surgeries. And a lot of these kids, they grow out of it.
Of course they do.
Or some of them have other, issues or trauma that they're dealing with. And instead of getting help, they're having their bodies mutilated by these doctors and people who are frankly benefiting financially. There's a huge market for these surgeries and drugs, and so unfortunately people are profiting off of this.
I was watching Jessica Tardlove last night, and she's always her opinions are bad. Her opinions are bad enough, but you really do want to stab your ears out with knitting needles when she talks. And she was still down with, go ahead, you can go ahead and give kids the puberty blockers. Say, no, you don't. Yeah. Puberty is not meant to be blocked. You're not doing anything by puberty blocking. You're not changing a gender. All you're doing is disrupting a biological process that's going to screw someone over physically the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And those drugs certainly have side effects as well. There's this weird tendency to pretend like these drugs there are no downsides. Like they're perfectly safe. But I think that just kind of goes with the left's blind trust of doctors in the medical community. So
yeah, it's a bizarre chapter, Erin, and I always looked at the most despotic regimes, whether it be Hitler or whether it be Stalin. Hitler, convinced people that the Jews were the enemy, and they believed the absurdity, and they committed the atrocity. In the United States, people believed the absurdity that children needed to change their gender and could change their gender, and people in our country committed the atrocity. It can happen even in the United States of America. That's what we need to take away from all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And it's unfortunate that it could happen in a country like America, but I think a lot of people either didn't take the problem seriously or they were just swept into it because even though I think the most vocal supporters, it's a small minority, but they wield a lot of power.
Yeah.
So
I hope we learned something from it. I really do. Erin Van Natta, always wonderful to have you on the show. Where can people find your glorious presence, including on Substack?
Yeah, no, check out we've launched a Substack recently. It's called State of the Day. We have a paid subscription. You can get all of our newsletters. Our editors, columnists are all on there covering the news and giving you kind of takes you won't find anywhere else. And I do have a Substack post up there that I did last week on Hollywood and the publishing industry. So, yeah, definitely check that out.
All right, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really?
I got involved when working with uncreative people is not very fun sometimes. When you're a creative person, hello, War Eagle, what's going on? Good afternoon, good to see you. Satan's Democrat Party, yeah, not much of a stretch on that one. Not much of a stretch on that one. Children of God's masterpieces pray mightily for the young. Yeah, of course. It's ridiculous. Sorry I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys. I got a little busy there. 3 minutes, here we go. This is more from a young woman, Prisha Mosley, who underwent a double mastectomy because adults in her life said that she could change genders. Listen to this.
Testosterone had a lot of effects, even on the way I look and the way I sound. People know that I struggled with my identity before I even introduced myself, actually, you know. But as far as the double mastectomy complications that Fox will also be facing, I have numbness and scarring on my chest. There's no sensation. I don't feel it when I hug people or even when I hold my baby. And I had severe surgical complications as a result of giving birth. My surgeon left some of my breast tissue and my milk came in and I wasn't able to let it out because he grafted my nipples like was done to Fox. It's just egregious what happens, and we don't know what's in the future for her, so I'm really glad she won.
Can you imagine as a woman having a child and your breast tissue is creating milk to feed the child and there's no exit and you literally have to have it expressed surgically, cut into you to release it? That's how evil this gender transition nonsense was. And shame on you. Shame on all of you who did this. You are, I don't even know what to say. You school counselors, you principals, you psychologists, you psychotic psychologists, you should all lose your licenses. You doctors who did this, you should never be able to practice again. Ever be around children again. How dare you fall for this? You insurance companies who paid for all of it and enriched these people over it. I have been sitting on this for years and I am just bloody well done with it. It is a Mengele-esque chapter in our history. I never thought that we could fall for this mania, but look at what we've fallen for. After October the 7th, a day later, we had pro-Palestinian protesters bought and paid for saying it was Israel's problem, among other things. We have had this mania. All of the things that we have seen happen in despotic regimes in the past have happened to some degree in the United States, and we are susceptible to all of it because we have suckers and people who will buy into it and commit these acts of these atrocities. And a lot of them are still in Congress and in leadership positions around the country. That's it. And we have to take them down. And they have to be held accountable for what they did to our country and to our children. How dare they? And that's all I'm going to say about that today. How's that sound? We got another hour of the show right ahead. I promise it's going to be amazing. Sarah Bedford, Washington Examiner, joins us as well. Don't go anywhere.
No blind rhetoric.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
right now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show. Welcome to it, hour number 3 of the show today. A lot of stuff to still get to, and, a lot of balls in the air. I'll just tell you, there's Scott Bessent, in front of Congress, congressional hearing, kicking butt, taking names, Democrats trying to filibuster them, all that. Sarah Bedford, investigative editor for the Washington Examiner, joins us at the bottom of the hour. I love the Examiner. I've been following the Examiner for a very long time. So here's Scott Bessent today, stunning experts about the economic growth in America.
The U.S. will have reported likely, despite the government shutdown, despite the longest government shutdown in history, 4.1% growth for the past 3 quarters. And so we have been successful at that. Europe last week.
Why aren't the Democrats, why aren't they talking about affordability anymore? That was going to be the issue that carried them through the midterms, right? What is it now? It's Donald Trump is going to try and steal the midterms. Voter ID is racist, and we got to get rid of DHS and ICE after they shut down the border. You see what's going on here? Where's affordability?
Celebrated 0.3% growth.
Yeah.
So it's no comparison.
Yeah, Europe recorded a 0.3% growth.
And I think we are beginning to accelerate, and importantly,
we are.
Everything we are doing is to fix this terrible Biden inflation from the past 4 years. 21.5%, much more for working families.
Yeah, it was terrible. I was in the middle of it. It was absolutely awful. It was absolutely awful. Here's a little bit more of the testimony of Scott Bessent, my favorite. By the way, my favorite cabinet secretary, other than I guess Rubio.
What, if anything, are y'all doing to address the risk to households of mortgages and other forms of credit becoming unavailable in certain regions?
She's reading something that an intern apparently wrote.
The country due to climate change.
Again,
hold on. What? With the climate change? Hold on. I got to hear that again. What the hell?
What, if anything, are y'all doing to address the risk to households of mortgages and other forms of credit becoming unavailable in certain regions of the country due to climate change?
What the hell are you talking about? Okay, say for instance, when there's a fire in Los Angeles, like there was last year, and supposedly climate change caused it, why wasn't there a fire like that in Des Moines?
Again, Congresswoman, are you familiar with KLW 24?
No.
It was the base for everything that was done with climate and with all the proposed climate legislation, and it has been discredited. So everything that FSOC previously did, based on climate,
Who discredited
has been discredited.
Who discredited it?
Who did it? Who discredited it?
Nature Magazine has retracted the economic commitment of climate change more than 18 months after first learning that the paper was fatally flawed, with authors acknowledging that its errors are too substantial for a correction.
There you go. That is so fun. I just love it. Yeah, he's my favorite. This is kind of fun. This is a pretty interesting response from Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson was... The new pope is, like the last pope, is left of center. I'm whatever. I don't know. I'm so bloody tired of these. I don't know what they are. They keep making into our popes. They like people who are very left of center for some stupid reason. My church, for God's sake. But anyway, Mike Johnson was asked about Pope Leo, because Pope Leo doesn't like walls, you see, even though he lives in a walled city and he has security more than you could ever imagine, would never consider entertaining an illegal staying in the Vatican. My God, it would be the ends of the world. But I want you to listen to Mike Johnson's brilliant refutation of the Pope.
Pope Leo has cited Matthew 25:35 to critique Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda. How would you respond to Pope Leo in Scripture?
So you want me to give you a theological dissertation? All right, I'll tell you what, I'll post it on my website later today, but let me give you a quick summary. Borders and walls are biblical. From the Old Testament to the New, God has allowed us to set up our civil societies and have separate nations.
Yeah.
Immigration is not something that's frowned upon in Scripture. In fact, it's welcome. We're to welcome the sojourner and love our neighbor as ourselves. But what's also important in the Bible is that assimilation is expected and anticipated and proper. When someone comes into your country, comes into your nation, they do not have the right to change its laws or to change its society. They're expected to assimilate. We haven't had a lot of that going on. When people cite passages out of the Old Testament, they say, well, you're supposed to take care of the sojourner and the neighbor, treat them as yourself, welcome them in. Yes, but that is an admonition to individuals, not to the civil authorities. The civil authorities are given authority under Scripture to maintain order. Romans 12, you want to do this? Romans 13 says that the civil authorities are God's agents of wrath to bring punishment upon the wrongdoer. And it says if you do right, you have no fear of the civil authorities, but those civil authorities are necessary. It's a calling. It's a calling to maintain order in society, and we have not had that. When Biden and Harris opened the borders wide for 4 years, we had as many as 20 million illegals come across the country, and we all know many dangerous people, hardened criminals, child molesters, rapists, murderers, all the rest, terrorists who came into the country. We did not take care of our borders. Sovereign borders are biblical and good and right, and they're just, because it's not because we hate the people on the outside, it's because we love the people on the inside. We should love our neighbor as ourselves, as individuals, but as the civil authority and the government has to maintain the law. And that is biblical, and it's right, and it's just, and I'm happy to have this lengthy debate with anybody any time they want to, and I'll post on my X page the longer dissertation on that for you.
I'm thinking that's cool. That was, you must admit, and certainly I'm not a theologian, but dang, that was pretty impressive, refuting old Pope Leo. Oh, Pope Leo, I love it. I absolutely love it. I wanted to share that with you. Ken, my producer, Redneck MacGyver, he sent that. He goes, you might want to find that. And I listened to the beginning of it yesterday. And then I went and just heard the rest of it this morning, and I went, holy cow, I got to share that. Holy hell. Donald Trump was asked about the Clintons testifying. The Clintons were going to be defy the testifying, and then Jim Comer whipped out his subpoena, and Hillary went, like that. And here's what Donald Trump had to say about that.
Well, they didn't think that any
Democrat. Not Donald Trump. Here is Donald Trump. I'll get to Jim Comer in a second. Here's Donald Trump talking about it.
Today we heard that the Clintons set deposition dates to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Any reaction to that and related to the Epstein question?
I think it's a shame, to be honest. I always liked him. Her, yeah. She's a very capable woman. She was better in debating than some of the other people. I will tell you that. She was smarter.
She was quite a mass debater.
Smart woman.
She really was.
I hate to see it in many ways. I hate to see it. But, then I look at me. They went after me like...
they did, yeah.
They wanted me to go to jail for the rest of my life. Then it turned out I was innocent, very innocent.
Yeah, so no pity. No pity for you. Here's Jim Comer talking about why the Clintons decided to change their minds.
The Chase Sapphire Line.
Years, Congressman James Comer, House Oversight Committee Chair.
Well, they didn't think that any Democrats would support this, but the Democrats on the Oversight Committee met with the victims, the Epstein victims, and they want everybody that's photographed with the victims, anyone that's spent a lot of time with Epstein or Maxwell, they want everyone to answer questions.
Yeah.
And unlike President...
Yeah, Bill, you were in the hot tub with young women at his island.
Trump, neither Clinton has
flew on his plane 27 times.
Ever answered any questions about Epstein. They've never done a sit-down interview. They've never talked about it. And obviously, they didn't want to come in front of the Oversight Committee. We had a markup for contempt when they missed their date that they were supposed to testify. And to their surprise, a majority of Democrats on the Oversight Committee voted with all the Republicans. Then they spent a week trying to intimidate me and say our subpoena wasn't lawful. And then try to get the Democrats
threaten to murder you like they did so many other people.
Democrats back together to
allegedly
stick to not vote for it, to make it a partisan vote, thinking they could beat it in court if it was a partisan vote. And there were several Democrats that were going to vote to hold Bill Clinton in contempt for not.
Oh, that's what they lost some Democrats. That's it.
Showing up for subpoena. So that's how we got here. They knew they were going to be held in contempt. They knew what Steve Bannon and Navarro had been held in contempt happened to them, and they didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, apparently some Democrats aren't afraid of the Clintons anymore. And the Clintons realize, holy heck, we don't hold the same sway we used to. And that's what happened. Caitlin Collins asked Donald Trump about it as well.
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No. I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people.
Yeah.
But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr.
Yeah, actually, more Democrats are in trouble for this than anything. This is the clip that's going viral. Donald Trump shredding Caitlin Collins.
Say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President.
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say?
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors of a sexual abuser.
By the way, on the other side of the break, Melinda Gates is starting to open up about her husband. And what I'm going to play next for you is something from an interview with her, and it puts a real impactful side on all of this to someone who was a victim of it. It also gives you an idea why she divorced the guy. All right, so we're going to do that on the other side of the break. Let's take a break. This is the Rob Carson Show. International disputes.
When voter ID is discussed, we put up such a fuss, 'cause we like to cheat. An ID with a photograph will eliminate riffraff, and we'll get beat. Don't like that SAVE Act, 'cause fraud it will combat. Be tougher to win when you're a Democrat. The SAVE Act is a major threat, and you can bet it's something we fear the most. If you must show a photograph to the election staff, then we are toast. Fair elections we can't win. We send illegals in with no ID.
They're gonna find election fraud down in Fulton County. Looking at 2020, when the steal took place. After it is proven, Bonnie Willis will look stupid. Brian Kemp and Ratzenberg will not show their face. That water-made brick, yes, it was a total fake. Suitcases with ballots everywhere. Kemp was so weak he went and turned the other cheek. About the fraud he didn't seem to care. Democrats aren't known for playing fair.
What you talking about, Willis?
They're gonna find election fraud down in Fulton County.
So Chuck Schumer is being lambasted after saying that the SAVE Act is Jim Crow. This is what they did when they did successfully enact some similar legislation in the state of Georgia to make sure that people who voted didn't have their vote stolen by somebody else. And Chuck Schumer said that the SAVE Act, allowing people, requiring someone to have a voter ID, prove their citizenship as a citizen to vote. And he was confronted about that today, the absurdity of it, and of course he had nothing to say about it.
Leader Schumer, you recently called the SAVE Act Jim Crow. Can you explain how it's Jim Crow to require an ID to vote in elections, to drive a car, to purchase alcohol, go to the DMV? Any comment on that?
Leader Schumer, you said you're on the same page as...
What do you think? Should we restore normal order in the Senate and actually go back to the standing filibuster?
Of course he's not going to answer because he likes to shoot his damn mouth off, spew nonsense, and then be completely... doesn't have to have any accountability. That's just the way Democrats are. That's just the way Democrats are. Hey, so Melinda Gates, she was, I guess, being interviewed by NPR, and she got a divorce from her husband. We're finding out some things about her husband in these Epstein files that he was involved with some Russian prostitutes or something and may have gotten an STD. Okay. And she was asked, and by the way, the reporter who did this question was pretty brilliant about getting an answer from a deeply personal question, tiptoeing around asking outright for the details. And I want you to listen to this because it puts a real human face on someone who was... Can you imagine being the wife of this man? And then not only have to deal with allegedly getting an STD from her husband, but that her husband was involved with this. And then having to be the wife of someone of such a public figure. So dealing with the humiliation of that.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how how did that happen to those girls, right? And so for me, it's just sadness for, I left my marriage. I had to leave my marriage. I wanted to leave my marriage. I had to leave I felt I needed to eventually leave the foundation. So it's just sad. That's the truth, right? And it's kind of like, at least for me, I've been able to move on in life.
Wow. That is, that was really an amazing, a powerful response from her. You don't think about how badly she was hurt by this. Honestly. Well, I wanted to share that. I just thought that was, I don't know, Melinda Gates from Adam, as my dad used to say, but that's just, that was really, really amazing. Put a human side on the awfulness that Jeffrey Epstein and some of the people who partook in his evil, apparently her husband did. So there you go. California records the largest population loss in America for the 6th straight year. California, and soon this is going to happen to Virginia if this Abigail Spanberger, the crazy cat lady Karen who misrepresented herself to get elected in the state of Virginia, and they've ushered in already 50 new tax proposals. They're going to issue, you have to get rid of your leaf blower. If it's a gas leaf blower, they're going to outlaw gas leaf blowers, and then if you get an electric one, there's a tax on it. They're going to tax you on your Uber. They're going to tax you on your deliveries, even via Amazon. They're going to go after guns and ammunition. They're going to go after voter. They're going to allow the elections to be stolen. They're going to allow NGOs to get money from the government without being checked for their corruption. It is insane. It is the same thing that's going on in New York City with that Zohran Mamdani. I hope it doesn't happen in Virginia. I hope that somebody challenges her legally because she misrepresented herself. The Democrat Party misrep themselves to become the party in power. That said, Steve Hilton is running, and Steve Hilton, I guess Gavin Newsom is not out in front. The Republican candidates are out in front. And Steve Hilton, this is a debate that he was in yesterday, and listen to the idiot in the crowd trying to filibuster him and shout him down.
So what sets me apart in this race is that I'm not
because it's what Democrats do.
Democrat. And after 16 years of Democrat one-party rule that have given us the highest poverty, the highest unemployment, the highest cost of living in America, I think it's a very good thing. We don't need another Democrat. We need change. We've got the plans to make it happen.
Yeah, we need change because of all the corruption and everybody's leaving. And that guy's booing.
$3 gas. Cut your electric bill in half. Your first $100,000 tax-free, a home you can afford to buy. And that's how we make our state Cal-affordable. Yeah. But the other thing that makes me different, I'm building a team. Yeah,
listen to what he's booing. What he just said, no tax on the first $100,000 you make it affordable to live here, all of this. Right now, highest gas prices in the entire country, all highest utilities in the entire country, highest real estate, highest rent, highest taxes.
Come on. To get this done. For Lieutenant Governor running with me, Gloria Romero, she was the former Democrat leader of the state Senate. Michael Gates running with me for Attorney General to enforce the law. Herb Morgan running with me for our state golden again with the golden ticket and the team I'm putting together.
Yeah, see you idiot. Honestly, who would vote for this? Who would vote for the Democrat Party again, considering what the Democrat Party has done to the state of California, where it is for the 6th straight year, the most people bleeding from the state, even though the state is heaven on earth, even though the state, honestly, if there were Republicans in charge and taxes were low, I would consider living in California. It is Eden on earth, and they've made it into hell. This is what Democrats do. They've done it in Maryland. They're doing it in other states around the country. They're all leaving because Democrat policies fail. That's why they're being replaced with illegals, so they can maintain their census and their representation and their tax money. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Hello, my name is Brian Delatry, and I started taking Relief Factor just about a year ago. I was having chronic knee pain over time. It just got worse and worse. Just walking downstairs was painful. Well, since I've taken Relief Factor, the results have been just amazing. I actually walk 4 miles a day, 5 to 6 days a week. No pain at all going downstairs. Very active playing golf, and it's been really just unbelievable in the change I've had in the pain in my knee. Hope that someone who's experienced the same type of pain gives Relief Factor a try. And I guarantee if you get the results that I have, you'll be very happy. I'm going to continue using the product because I am now pain-free.
Don't wait. If you're dealing with daily pain, launch your 3-week quick start and see what Relief Factor can do for you. Go to relieffactor.com. How will it feel to be out of pain?
Winning and winning and never losing. Results that drive Nancy Pelosi to boozing. Chris Christie choking on buffalo wings. These are my favorite conservative things. Gas prices falling, inflation dropping. To our momentum, there is no stopping. An end to 8 wars, what joy that brings. These are a few of my favorite things. Reducing spending, securing the border, restoring faith in law and order, arresting a punk at a no kings. These are my favorite conservative things. When Chuck Schumer makes me nauseous, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember we're bombing drug folks and that I don't feel so bad.
Somalis are all on welfare, and the Dems just seem to not care. Ilhan Omar, she needs to go. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. Many are anti-Semitic. Their statements have been pathetic. They're a threat to all you know. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. They are always expressing hate of America. Why are they here? Must deport before it's too late. Talk about holiday cheer. Our language, they will not learn it. Own money, refuse to earn it. They are gaming the system so. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO.
them. This is an open indictment of Democrat policies. High crime, high taxes, high cost of living. It's unbelievably difficult to live in those states. Secondly, you've got voter registration data. So we are winning voter reg in all the key swing states, and it's been that way for years now. And so states like Pennsylvania are much, much better for us than they used to be. Thirdly, yes, the Electoral College. We are going to be much harder for Democrats to win a national election, even in 2030. It should have been that way in 2020. It's a botched census, if you want to know the truth of it. But that's apportionment, that's congressional votes, and obviously Electoral College votes. So things are trending in our way. I don't give too much heed to that special election in Texas that you mentioned. I had Dan Patrick with me today. He said there was about 75,000 Republicans that just didn't get the memo. So I think we're going to do better in the midterms when more people are focused on what's going on politically.
That is Andrew Colvett. He is the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. He's really taken over the helm there. And an optimistic view of the midterms, which I have had, by the way. And I continue to have. I'm not saying, don't let your guard down, get out and vote, I get all that. But the Democrat Party is doing nothing but a death spiral into hell, and they want to try to drag us kicking and screaming with them. That's why they want to get rid of, voter ID. They don't want to have voter ID. Why? Well, duh. I mean, you know why I know they want to steal votes? Because I'm not stupid. Why they want to get rid of DHS and ICE? Because they want illegals in to load them up with largesse, to have them in there for the census, and then also to have them vote. Because I'm not stupid. These are all common sense, honestly, common sense. My God in heaven. Sarah Bedford is an investigative editor at the Washington Examiner, and she joins us on the Newsmax Hotline. Hello, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I like to say the Democrat Party is in, and I'm very ginger and careful with my wording, doing a death spiral into hell. What do you, I mean, you look at all the things that the Democrats are doing. They're lashing out. They're gnashing their teeth. They're saying, oh, my God, in Minneapolis, ICE is coming in. They're Nazis. And Jim Crow, showing your ID is Jim Crow. And I think it's because they are being exposed for the absolutely broken intellectually and bankrupt party they are, and they see the writing on the wall. What do you think?
Well, right now, they don't have to do much of anything as a minority party in terms of putting forward a proactive agenda. We're not really close enough to the midterms for vulnerable Democrats or, for Democrats to be running on anything that they're for. They're still in a position where they get to run on stuff that they're against, and that's a lot of what we hear in the rhetoric about Donald Trump. What's interesting is that the successful Democrats that we've seen so far since Trump's election in the 2025 elections, and I'm talking about Abigail Spanberger, the governor of Virginia, and Mikey Sherrill, the governor of New Jersey. Both of them ran on affordability, and they ran as efforts. They didn't run on any of the toxic social stuff. They didn't run on any of the identity politics and racial stuff. They ran on making everyday life more affordable for Americans. And neither of them, in the few weeks that they've been in office, have governed that way.
I know.
And I do think that dynamic will make it tougher for Democrats to run on affordability in the midterms, when the few times they've tried that, it's more or less turned out to be a scam, at
Sarah,
least so far.
the affordability thing is already over. They're not talking about it anymore. The Democrat Party is not talking about affordability anymore. That's not going to be an issue in the midterms. This is my contention. Because we are already seeing it being made affordable. We're already seeing inflation doing a flatline. We're already seeing rent prices down for the lowest level in 4 years. We're seeing gas prices down, a lot of things. And by the way, I just moved to Virginia. And Abigail Spanberger lied. The Democrat Party lied, misrepresented themselves. They did not have any of this nonsense on their party platform. And I am being a part of what is going to hopefully be a legal action against the Democrat Party in the state of Virginia, because you cannot, Sarah, when you run as a communist, you tell everybody what you're for. Communism does not win in America. But what they did, both of them, Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger did, is that they covered up their communistic, Marxist, socialist agenda to get elected, and then bait and switch. You cannot do that in the country. And if it's not challenged legally, then at least it throws major doubt on whether you could ever trust a Democrat running as a moderate again, as you mentioned.
I do think you'll hear more and more about affordability as we get closer to November. It's their most, successful issue to date. They don't have success when they run on immigration. They don't have success when they run on law and order or their ability to govern in general. But I don't think that prices will come down fast enough for the people who are hurting the most to really feel that relief and to neutralize the issue completely. It's still really hard to be a first-time home buyer in America, for example. It is still really hard to rent a decent apartment in the biggest suburban or urban areas in the country. And it's still really expensive when you go to the grocery store. So even though, like you mentioned, there are positive economic signs, that's not happening fast enough to take the issue off the table. Right. And it's really the only card that Democrats have to play at this point. The backlash to immigration is probably short-lived because of some of the incidents, the tragedies that we did see in Minneapolis. But Tom Homan has already done a remarkable job of cleaning up that mess, and I don't think that's something that Democrats will be able to coast on in November.
I thought that a couple of weeks ago when Donald Trump decided to put Homan in there and kind of back off ICE a little bit, a lot of people were, hoping, because, a lot of us are full of testosterone. We thought, Insurrection Act, I want to see the hippies get their butts kicked. But it was actually a brilliant chess move on Donald Trump's part. And that today we see, and you mentioned in a headline on your Twitter feed, arrests for offenses like vandalism, assault, property damage are way down. We saw the police actually clearing out some of these intersections where people were stopping motorists, asking for their papers and their IDs and whatnot. And then of course, kind of deflated the rage machine in Minneapolis. So that was a pretty brilliant move. And I'd say it's pretty positive because Homan said today that they're turning over illegal alien criminals at the jails rather than releasing them. That's a giant thing.
Right, and that was the goal all along. I mean, if the goal was to send some sort of symbolic message about, like you mentioned, what had the makings of an insurrection, then, maybe Trump would have taken a different path. But clearly the goal all along was just to get criminal illegal aliens off the streets, like the Trump administration said. And so you do see cooperation there. And it put Democrats in a really awkward position that I think was brilliant on the part of the Trump administration. Yeah. If they didn't take that cooperation deal, then the Trump administration would be forcing Democrats to defend keeping criminal illegal aliens on the streets, criminals who have committed some really heinous crimes like child rape and murder and stuff like that. And even the most radical Democrats in Minnesota really couldn't stomach defending keeping those people on the streets. And so the Trump administration, I do think, is going to come out on top, at least in the Minneapolis saga.
Yeah, the SAVE Act is not going through right now. We just found out from Harry Hinton on CNN, the American people want to see voter ID. Chuck Schumer said it was Jim Crow. I know, surprised he would say something. I think this whole thing's blowing up in their faces. I don't know about the legal, what they're going to have to do, the legal gymnastics to get this to pass. But clearly the Democrat Party is not on the side of the American people with regard to showing your ID to vote.
Right. It's an overwhelmingly popular idea. It's not controversial with the vast majority of voters. It just makes sense. And people have to show their IDs. I mean, this is like a totally cliche argument, but it's that because it's true. You have to show your ID to do just about anything in this country. And to say that in order to exercise your most sacred civic right to vote, you shouldn't have to show an ID. That doesn't make sense to most people. Very rarely see issues where public opinion is so lopsided.
I know.
And there's so few people that oppose it, but this is one of them. And Republicans, they would be smart to press their advantage while they have it and get this over the finish line.
Sarah,
let's suffer a backlash.
If we could continue this on the other side of the break, could you stick with us through the break?
Sure.
I want to talk a little bit about Don Lemon, among other things. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
You still thinking job change? Now we can see that these protest NGO groups are about one thing: getting Democrats elected. So it's only fitting that donations to Get Free are funneled through Act Blue, who is under investigation by the Department of Justice for foreign contributions. Act Blue has funneled billions of dollars for activist groups like Indivisible Twin Cities, who is orchestrating the resistance on ICE agents in Minneapolis. Indivisible has been caught paying protesters, and they've received over $7.6 million from the Open Society Foundation, funded by George Soros.
Yeah, there's a lot of balls in the air with regard to Democrats and rigging votes and buying people off, etc., because they don't have a winning message. They really don't have much of a winning message. Sarah Bedford is an investigative editor with the Washington Examiner. Buddy, would you live in the D.C. area?
I do. I live in the Virginia area.
Me too. I live in Northern Virginia. Got a studio right near the torpedo factory.
Oh, great. I'll have to come visit sometime.
I swear to God. What about this ice on top of the snow? What a mess that's made of things, huh?
An absolute nightmare.
Oh, my
and the
God.
school's closed for a week at a time.
It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And the Potomac's frozen over in a lot of the parts. It's pretty messy. So I want to talk about a couple of other things here. Don Lemon the other night, I don't know, if I was under such heat, and he's already tempted Pam Bondi. He said, come and arrest me. She arrests him. Then he goes, I'm just going to get louder. Then he appears on Jimmy Kimmel the other night. I got to tell you, if I were in his shoes, I would be shutting the hell up. What are your thoughts on Don Lemon and the possibility he could go to jail?
Well, you might not agree with this. I am sympathetic to the claim. Listen, let me get through it. I'm sympathetic to the claim that journalists should enjoy extra protection. However, it is so hard for me to see my fellow journalists circling the wagons if a right-wing YouTuber accompanied a bunch of oath keepers, let's say, interrupting prayer services at a mosque to protest radical Islam and making little Muslim children cry and all of that.
Yes.
I can't imagine a world where mainstream journalists would say that right-wing YouTuber should be protected for participating in that event just because he also live-streamed it.
So let's say Don Lemon is standing up with a bunch of guys who are getting ready to go in and rob a bank. And he says, I know you're going to go in and rob this bank. I want to buy you coffee and donuts, and then I'm going to go in with you, and I'm going to interview the people as you rob them, and I'm going to get in the way of people trying to leave the bank for their own safety. Really? You want to defend that?
Exactly. No. I'm not defending that. I'm saying that the journalists who are circling the wagons around John Lemon are also disagreeing that the underlying behavior is criminal. But I guess my point is that if they had targeted any other house of worship, if they had targeted a mosque, for example, and it's because it's a Christian church that they don't even see that sort of act of intimidation.
And they'd never do a mosque, would they? They would never interrupt a mosque, would they? They would never go into a mosque.
It's because they don't sympathize with the victims of this crime, that they can't see anyone involved as having done anything wrong. Yeah. But it's pretty clearly illegal that no one has a right to interrupt worship services in a house of worship. And I really think it's baffling, especially after you saw during the Biden administration, there were several people acting as independent journalists who were prosecuted pretty aggressively for being at the January 6th rally, for entering the Capitol while they were
I'm just trying to cover the story, man.
Baker at the Blaze, for example.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to cover the story.
Exactly. And you didn't see anyone come to the aid of the First Amendment journalist's superior right during those types of prosecutions. So it's really hard to take seriously people who are saying that it's a complete overreach that Don Lemon was charged here.
I think it's a very good time for real truth tellers and people who really love journalism. You've seen Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, John Solomon, Nick Shirley, who's kind of like he's like the I don't even know. He's a journalist, but he's not like somebody who went to J school, but he is a journalist, and I think it's a good time to be a journalist, Sarah, particularly if you want to be a truth teller, not from either side of the political equation, but be a truth teller. I think there's a real opportunity for journalism to make a return and be, highly respected.
Well, legacy publications have ceded a lot of ground by openly being partisan cheerleaders this past decade now and longer, but they really discarded the pretense when Donald Trump ascended to power. And so, there's a lot of ground that's been ceded, a lot of authority has been given up by these legacy institutions that publications like the Washington Examiner and, like yourself have there's a real opportunity there to establish authority as truth tellers.
Listen, I have a studio and an audience of millions of people every week. I did it on my own because, and I'm conservative. I'm not a journalist. Dear God, don't insult journalism and don't insult me. So there's a real opportunity for people to hear truth. Sarah Bedford, really enjoyed the conversation. Washington Examiner. Where can people find all your great work, follow you on social media, etc.?
Thank you. They can find it all at WashingtonExaminer.com.
You are the best. Have a glorious day. We'll have you in the new studio. We're going to be doing live interviews in here and podcasts very soon. We'll have you over, okay?
Thank you. All
right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hello, everybody. I'm paying attention to my streamers now. Hello, guys. How are you? Good show today. God is my Redeemer, America Marcy. Amen, sister. It's the only way you can be redeemed. Right? Isn't it the only? Let's see what else we got here. No ID means no individuality to me. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Over my Rumbly Ruse, Deputy 1955. Good to talk to you. Good to see you today. Thank you very much. Beck Ottenberry. Sport Tech, all of you guys. Lady Boo. Sarah Bedford, yeah, I know, isn't she cool? Sarah Bedford's very cool. She's sharp as hell, right? Sarah Bedford, that was a great interview. We had a little give and take. She gave a little bit to me, I gave a little right back. I enjoyed that conversation. She is sharp as a tack, by the way. Rob, is Abigail Spanberger under investigation by DOJ refusing to turn off the voter rolls? No, I don't know about that. I would like to know because there have been some questions about her, the election in Virginia. Marita, love your show. Love you too, Marita. Love you too, Marita. Let me see what else we got here. Let's see over on the YouTube page, America Marcy. Detour Mush. You think life is to be racist. Oh, okay, we'll get a troll. I guess it's a troll over there. Go get them, guys, like piranhas on a calf's leg. Go get them. Go get the trolls. Go get the trolls. Marty Anderson, hey, Rob, I like your work. Go to the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. I'm going to go to the Museum of the Bible here in D.C. It was built since I left. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm going to do it. Here we go.
CBM.
Diggy. There's always room for Zeppelin. If you like Zeppelin, you should check out Greta Van Fleet. Greta Van Fleet's a Gen Z band, and they're friggin' amazing. They've got a song called "Flower Power" that they did just sound like kind of like they were impersonating Zeppelin. With "Flower Power," their song, just Google it, look it up, look it on Spotify, whatever. They got it. This song is. It's like if Led Zeppelin did another album. It's really good. It's really good. They are good musicians, great vocalist. Greta Van Fleet. Gold is back, baby. Gold is back. Dropped pretty dramatically. It's pushing 5,000 again. Told you. So it was up to about 5,500. People sold because it went up $500 in one day last week. Then it dropped down to 46-ish. And the reason it did is because people were selling it. People that, were selling it. Birch Gold was, you couldn't even get through some days. I was trying to get in touch with my advisor there and all that. We'll get back to you, Rob. We're really busy. Okay. But there we go. We're at $49.38 again. So we're getting back up to $5,000. People sold off, but gold is still going to be in high demand. It's on the way. If you look at some of the headlines, gold prices remain well supported. U.S. labor market continuing. Gold and silver unlikely to repeat explosive rally, but should still climb steadily after a recent price reset. Duh. Told you. So maybe it's time for you, now that it's down, now that you could save a little money, $500 an ounce less than it was last week, to text my name Rob to 989898. Text my name Rob to 989898 and get the ball rolling. They'll just give you information, no obligation. I just converted a little 401k that I had to gold last week. They just set the check, so I got in at like under $5,000, which is really great. And now I can just watch it grow. Didn't take any time. They got in touch with my 401k people, and then the gold representative from Birch Gold was on the phone with us together. They, shook hands. There you go, and said, "Here you go. We're done. We're on." And that's how easy it is. So if you just text my name Rob to 989898 for Birch Gold, then you can get the ball rolling there. Again, it's 989898 for Birch Gold. And again, you want to do that soon. So today was fun. I thought Sarah Bedford was an outstanding guest. I want to have her on again. She gave it to me a little bit. I gave it to her a little bit right back, and I thought it was a great conversation. Very, 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 very sharp interview. I thought, the show was very good. If you get a chance to subscribe to the podcast, it's on all the usual podcast platforms, iHeartMedia, Spotify, all of that. Of course, on all of our social media. Rumble, just go to Rumble, Newsmax, Rob Carson Show. The entire show's up there, as well as all of Newsmax social media. If you want to watch the show again, it's right there. Otherwise, it's available on all the podcast platforms, audio as well. The numbers are growing dramatically. People discovering the show. In the meantime, God bless you. America's founded what Donald Trump is doing for this glorious country. To heck with the Democrats and what they're trying to do to the country. And until tomorrow, which is Thursday, do not catch the stupid. I'll see you then. I love you guys.
All right, Rob. Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.